I quite thought you might like to join me as we build and have a play around with this. It's a TZXduino. This particular one being designed by Jackson from 8bitclone.com. Now these are nothing new, they've been around for several years now. But if you're not familiar with what they are, then effectively they're a way of replacing the tape loaders for your old computers like the Spectrum, the BBC, the Amstrad and so on and so forth. So instead of the problems associated with using a tape player and those worn out tapes, you can use this. And instead of like the flash loaders that load games instantly, this gives you the same experience as if you were loading from a tape, albeit in a virtual fashion. Now what I thought would make this build particularly interesting, at least for me, is that it's running on an Arduino Nano, and I've never programmed one of those before, so that was going to be a first for me. And the second thing is there is a small amount of surface mount soldering involved, and my experience of that is almost nothing. So I thought this would be potentially quite a challenging build. And it's fair to say I did run into a fair few problems along the way, but I'll come to that later. If you do fancy following along with me and building one of these yourself, I have included a full list of all the things you will need in the video description. And there's also a link in the video description for ordering these PCBs from PCBWay, who very kindly sponsor this video. Whether you are starting out in soldering or a seasoned tinkerer, PCBWay have something to offer you. With literally thousands of projects to inspire you, there is sure to be something there. With PCBs starting from as little as $5, the quality, as you can see, is truly excellent. But they don't just offer PCBs, oh no. They also offer CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, and if, like me, you don't own a 3D printer, then they also do 3D printing. So don't forget to check them out. There is a link in the description. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. So a very quick run through the bits. We've got 3 different resistor values there, as you can see. We've got a couple of ceramic capacitors, a couple of electrolytics. We've got an SD card reader, SD card adapter because I'm going to be using it with a micro SD card. We've got 5 12mm push button switches. We've got there a 3.5 audio jack. We've got a 2.5mm jack there, which will be used for the motor control on this. So if you've got a BBC, that is a really handy thing to have to stop and start the tape. We have got, I think that's an LM386 off the top of my head, audio amplifier, signal amplifier even. And then we've got the display itself, nice big chunky display. We've got the controller, the I2C controller, which makes connecting up the display to the Arduino so much simpler. We've got some wires to go between the board and the display itself. And of course, we've got the Arduino Nano. So that is it. There's not actually that much to it. I think the first thing I'm going to start with is seeing if I can get this SD card reader soldered into place. Right, so like I say, first thing I'm going to try and fit is this SD card reader. Now we do have, if you can see there, a couple of little plastic pins just to guide you to get it more or less in the right spot. And looking at the microscope, that's absolutely perfect. So the idea is I'm going to just try and tack a couple of these down, and then I'll go on and solder the rest in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of flux everywhere, just so that then there is some flux between the card reader and there we go. So we've got a bit of flux there between the card reader and the board itself, which will hopefully then aid the solder to flow. So, right, moment of truth, Simon. Moment of truth. Right, I've got my iron heated up and I've got a little bit of solder on my tip. I probably don't want too much. So, let's see how this goes. Right, what do you reckon? Push it down. Right, I think I might need some more solder on my tip. Put some more on. Not doing anything, is it? Like I say, I've not done this before. Let's clean my tip. Put some more solder on. Right. Tell you what, let's put some flux on the top as well. Loads of flux. Right. Will this work? Well, that's definitely soldered it. We've got a bridge there, but I'm not going to worry about the bridge for now. That is just the case itself moving. Right, let's do the bottom ones. And then, a bit more solder on my iron. Right, keep it pressed in. Oh, has it taken it? We'll work out. Right. Let's get a couple of these pads soldered on to keep it in place. Right, let's feed a bit of solder into there, I think. What do you think? Well, plenty of solder there. There's probably way too much, but not to worry. Right, this one at the corner here. Let's load up some more solder. Keep that pressed down. How's that? Well, it's no longer wobbling. Right, let's spin it round. Let's do these on the other side. Get that back under the scope. Right. Well, it seems secure. Let me know in the comments if I'm taking a complete hash of it. But it seems okay for now. Let's feed that solder in. How's that? Terrible or passable? It's not budging. Right. Let's move it back to how it was and see if we can get the rest of these pins soldered on. Right, so we did one, didn't we? Right, let's see if we can do this next one. Fresh solder on the tip. Right, done it. We'll find out where we're shortly. Then a bit more solder. Now that one seems to look better. Or is it best of a bad job? Right, a bit more solder on the iron. So there's it. Oh, the iron's cooled down. Got an automatic sleep on it, which is annoying sometimes. Oh no. I've melted something. Right, we'll have to check that and see if it actually still works. Oh.
Like that.
Right, let's get some solder wick. I think that was too much heat. So I'm gonna turn my iron down. Right, this time I'm gonna try just tack it down. So I'm gonna go with these big pads first. Right. Come on. Well, that feels solid. So let's try doing the next one. I know the pins are lined up because of those lugs, so right, a bit more solder. Outlet 8 transfer. Right, is that a guy? Hopefully. Spin it around, just to make it easy for me on this side. Right, this one down here then. Right. Oui. Sure. Well, let's put a bit of flux on top. Worried about overheating it though. I don't want it all falling apart again. That would be a sad face. I'm going to call that as good enough, at least until I know otherwise. And it's held really securely. Trust me. Trust me, I don't know what I'm doing. Right, let's try do these pins. And this time, I'm going to try and do them quicker without leaving the iron on it for too long. Right, preloaded the iron. Right, come on, please. Right. I'm going to do as little as possible until I know for a fact that the pin's not stuck, because I really don't want to melt it. Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to work top and bottom so that I'm keeping heat away from just one part of the board. Right, don't know if that's taken. Right, a bit more solder. Right. Come on, top and bottom, Simon, that's what you said. Right, have I done that one? Right. Stop watching me, making me nervous. My idea is here, I'm going to give them a poke with the tweezers. Once I've done, then I should be able to tell then if these pins are stuck down or whether I've just done an appalling job and I'm living in a dreamland. It's hard to tell with the scope whether sometimes I've done it. Really, done that one. Right, I've not done that one ever. Right. We must solder. Right, but I think they are all done. Right, let me turn my iron off and let's give these a poke. Right, in fact, let's give it a clean up first so I can see what I'm doing. Let's see if any of these pins wiggle. No. They seem to be down. Where did I get to? Oh, it's just... Right, just above the C4. Down. Very easy to doubt yourself when you don't know what you're doing. I feel that is on. Now, once you've got the TZXduino built, the next thing you're going to want to do is obviously program the Arduino Nano. And this was one thing that I was sort of dreading because I've not done it before and I thought it'd be really complicated to do. And you're probably going to look to do that with the Arduino IDE, which is what I did. And it took me a little bit to get my head around it, but I got there in the end. But I'm not going to show you that. There's enough guides online to show you how to do that if that's what you want to do. I'm going to show you something different to program the TZXduino, and that is using TZX tools. And that's a big thank you to John on my Discord channel. There is a link in my channel description if you want to join me on Discord. But John suggested using TZX tools as a way of programming, and goodness me, it's really straightforward. So that is what I'm going to show you. So let's have a look at TZX tools. So here we've got TZX tools running. I've already connected my Arduino Nano to the PC. So that's all done. So I'm going to take you through this, and it's going to take literally 2 minutes. And I will put a link in the description for the video if for TZX tools. If I forget to put it in there, just drop me a comment and I will add it into the video description later. But once you've got the Arduino Nano plugged in, you're going to click on firmware. You're going to choose which version of TZXduino or whatever it is that you want to use, MAXDuino. Some versions are only compatible with different Arduino devices. We're going to go for the TZXduino 1.18. We next need to tell it which port it's on, so I'm going to refresh that, and hopefully it's found it's there, COM3. And then we're going to tell it which board we're going to use, and in most instances, new boot's what you want to go for, but if that doesn't work, try old boot. And then we're going to choose our display. And our LCD is a 16:2, and I know from Googling that the address that I want to use is 027, which we will select. And then all we're going to do now is click upload. And are you sure you want to remove the previous code? Yes, we are. Then you get a jolly bit of music, which will shut up. Any second now, we should get a confirmation that it has been programmed. Doesn't take long at all, this. You get so much bit of space, Harry. What could be better? And that's completed okay. So that is literally it. There is nothing more complicated than that. It is a lot easier than using the Arduino IDE, at least until you get your head around it. This is so straightforward. It's hard to understand why you'd want to use anything else for the TZXduino. Now, once you've got the Nano programmed, it should reboot itself. Obviously, mine's already been done, but then it should reboot and probably tell you that there's no SD card selected. So I've got one that I've already put some stuff on. So let's reconnect that. Let's put the SD card in rather and connect the power up. And hopefully you should get some acknowledgement like that. Now, of course, when I restarted my Nano, it didn't work. Let me tell you a little bit about that. So when I powered mine on, I found that the display lit up. Everything seemed to be doing what I thought it should need to do. But instead of you having any text down on the bottom row, it was just all a solid bar. Now, I didn't know whether it was the display that was the issue, the Arduino Nano was the issue. It was programming, and it said it programmed fine. But I convinced myself that the Arduino Nano could be the problem. So I ended up ordering myself some more of those. And that is why my Nano has a socket, because I desoldered the existing Nano that I'd soldered to the board, put a socket on so that I'd be able to swap the Nanos out without any further desoldering work involved. But it wasn't the Nano in the end, it was the display. And unlike the SD card reader, which I destroyed even more taking it off, it wasn't me that was the problem. I checked everything was fine, but the display had arrived and it was faulty. So I got myself a few more of those and the problem went away. Fitted the new screen and everything bursted into life just as it should do. So if you've got a strange behaving display, just bear in mind it might not be the Nano, it might be the display itself. Right, so just like any other game, click on load, off you go. I've just got it balanced on top of this specky and hit play. Now, apart from the problems that I ran into with my build, it wasn't actually such a difficult thing to put together. But if you're not fancying in sourcing all the bits and building it yourself, there are alternatives. You can find these cropping up regularly on eBay. And what you're going to get is you're going to get something that arrives through the post that's ready to go. All you've got to do is download the software onto your SD card, stick it in, and you're up and running. You just might want to check though in the first instance that the TZXduino is compatible with the computer you're wanting to use it with. That said, it's a fabulous little device and I hope you've enjoyed watching me and you got something from that. And I hope as well that it inspires you to have a go yourself. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this sort of content. But thank you for watching and hopefully I will see you in another video soon. Bye for now.